watching Recreational Knitting, and my name is Karen, and I'm the hostess of this place on the internet where I talk about my knitting and my acquisitions while we travel in a 39-foot RV. I am coming to you from Florida. Yes, and today I'm wearing Knitting Makes Me Happy. Yes, I wore this out somewhere to the grocery store or something a couple weeks ago, and people were like, you know, I guess I'm the only one that wears a knitting shirt out. Talk about a nerd. Anyway, so I know you will appreciate it. So welcome. Those of you that have just found me and signed up, I appreciate you so much. We're getting close to that magical number of 1,000 where YouTube might consider me to become monetized. Now, I'm not going to become a millionaire overnight. From what I understand, you're guaranteed about 67 cents a month. So, yeah, so it ought to be real good. Yes, those of you that have been with me, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. I feel, excuse me, excuse me. Oh, and yeah, there's a Florida bug in my coffee. Excuse me while I dish him out. Yeah, a little protein. Anyway, yeah, it's just like talking with girlfriends. Yeah. So anyway, glad you're here. I don't know where I was talking about, but I'm glad you're here, and we're all in this together, knitting our lives together, and I appreciate the community. I really do. I look forward to being with you. That really kind of makes no sense whatsoever, but because I talk to a camera and you comment back to me, but I feel like we're in a little sisterhood here. Those of you that are male, I apologize in advance. You're welcome into our sisterhood as well. Thanks. Anyway, so two big things are happening. Well, three things are happening on this channel right now. Let me get this first. The first being that I'm getting close to 1,000 subscribers. So that's pretty cool. So if you know anybody that might enjoy this, recommend it. And plead with your family to sign up. I don't know, you know. Yeah, I finally put my stuff out there on Facebook, and I got a few Facebook friends that I've known from the past to actually subscribe to this. I said, you don't have to watch it, just subscribe, just so I get up to 1,000 subscribers. So that's the first big thing. The second big thing is that we're doing a make-along. It can be crochet, it can be whatever you can convince me that it's something spring. It can be quilted, it can be, you name it. If it's crafty and you made it, I can be convinced. And where you can find that is on the Ravelry page, Recreational Knitting Podcast. And I've put a place where you can put your finished objects there. And I'll pick a prize from there at the end of May. So this is running from the 1st of May to May 31st. So you got oodles of time, and you can enter as much as you want. You'll have more chances that way. And my husband, since there's no random YouTube picker, like on the, I just say, give me a number between 1 and whatever the last post is. And yeah, so that's how we pick it. Yeah, he's got no interest in any of this, so yeah, he really doesn't. Oh, it's my air conditioning dripping out of the camper. Wonder what it was. Yes, we're on air conditioning. Those of you that have just lived through another blizzard, I'm sorry, but yeah, we're on air conditioning this time. And the third way that we are having some excitement around here is that it is a few days past my first and only podiversary. So I've been doing this a year. I started when we were in Tucson, Arizona, camping on Bureau of Land Management land, and it was really bad, really bad. I'm still not, there's still not a lot of production, but yeah, it was bad. So I appreciate those of you that have been here since the beginning. I appreciate it so much. And yeah, I'm gonna have a giveaway today, and you're gonna put a comment in there about what you're working on currently. It can be, something for our spring fling, or something that's not even related. Yeah, so just put something in a comment. If you leave a comment, you'll be eligible. Now, I'll leave that open for a couple of weeks. And yeah, so we'll have that. Yeah, welcome to Mosquito Land. Yeah, so that'll be open for a couple weeks. So anybody that puts a comment here will be eligible. Okay, now, what are you here for? You're here for knitting. Let's see. I have 0 finished objects. The socks that I showed you last week that I had almost finished, yeah, that kid has not given me her measurements for her feet where I need to put the heels. The other one did, but I don't have a pair of socks for hers yet. So yes, and I am going to decide tomorrow, because people are still commenting on my last video. If you haven't seen it, go back and vote which color you want me to cast on next for my next pair of socks. There was a green and a red and gray, so make sure you go back and watch that and vote. I really appreciate that. Okay, no finished objects, works in progress. I know I promised you I'd never show you this until it was finished. But it's really becoming, what is falling out all over? Yarn balls. It's really becoming unwieldy. Let's just put it that way. It will be a great blanket once it's done. This is the Habitation Throw by Helen Stewart, and this was my advent that I put together just with scrap yarns. Okay, just to show you, that's where I started. And by the way, I didn't follow the pattern at all. This is where I started to decrease. And now, even though it doesn't look like I've made progress, I really have. Let me turn it around so you can see the progress keeper. And see, that's part of the reason why I wanted to show you today, because it's coming into the area here where there's going to be like no stitches left here. So it's a little donut and it's backwards, of course. Isn't that adorable? I wish I had a real one. Yeah, so I've made good progress on that in about, I don't know, you've probably seen it about 3 weeks ago. And this is how many stitches are left. I made this probably twice as long as the pattern calls for. Yeah, I'm really kind of sick of it, but it's going to be beautiful when it's done, and it's very functional. We've had a couple breezy, really breezy days. Windy, let's just call it what it is. Windy days, the last couple days where we were by the beach. And I knit on this a little bit outside, and it was all over my legs, and I appreciated it. So I finally found a bag for this. This is a bag. Can't even read it, but it says feed on it. This is not a knitting bag. This is just, yeah, you can't see that. Well, maybe you can. Feed, it's an organization that gives a lot of their proceeds to feeding hungry people. So, yeah, maybe you can see it a little bit better now that it's in the bag. I couldn't get it in any bags that I have. So that's living in that right now. I promise I won't show again until I have it finished. I promise. Promise. Okay, whoops, I forgot to put the, and these are the yarns that I'm using. And there'll be more. Let's see, what have I got? This is my next work in progress. And I've made really good progress in this. I have about 1/2 inch to go before I can start the ribbing at the bottom. This is my Yum sweater by Isabel Kramer. And this is actually the front. And all wrinkly, because I don't have sweater bags, I just have little bags. And yeah, it's coming along. This is where I was the last time, and I've put on what, maybe 3 or 4 inches? 3 inches. So I need to put about 1/2 inch more, and then I'll start the ribbing. I'm going to be doing, I think, twisted rib, just because I like the way that looks on the bottom. I'll have to take a look at the pattern and see what she calls for. But I know she uses a lot of twisted rib in her pattern, so I'll look at that. This is going to be the short sleeve version because Florida. And it's made from Queensland United, which is 55% lamb's wool. I think I always call it 50-50. And 45% cotton. And this is in the marsh colorway, which is really pretty. Blends right in with the environment. It could be right up there with one of those trees or at my feet. Marsh. So yes, I've made some really good progress on that this week. I feel really good about this. And this is slowly becoming, or not slowly, probably becoming my favorite bag. I'm going to have to go on Etsy and see if I can purchase one, a larger one for sweaters. And I'll let you know of the maker here because she doesn't have a tag in it, and she's from Chicago, so that's all I know. I know very little. Okay, all right, let's show you my next sweater that I've actually worked on. Now, you know, those of you that have been following me know that I have a whip parade of shame, okay? Have I gotten to many of those? No. Because casting on is way more fun, right? And I want garments. I have a lot of shawls and socks that are in my whips, or now UFOs. They're unfinished objects. Yeah, I need to get to work on them. And some of them are made with yarns that it's going to be particularly warm for the next 6 months in Florida, and I doubt that I'll look at them. But you never know. All right. I've made 3 of these already. It's the Anchor. Oh, that's the wrong pattern in here. The Anchor Summer Shirt by Petite Knit. I've made 2 from Barocco Remix Light. And I'm trying to find a picture of the thing, and it's all blotted in the bottom here. Here we go. I know you've seen this a million places, but it's got the 1x1 ribbing up in the yoke area, and it's a very comfortable shirt. And I've started my 4th one. This is the 3rd one that I've made in the Remix Light. And this is where I was last week. So I put on about 1.5 of these areas that have the ribbing. So I'm on now currently on my 5th and last ribbing that goes around the yoke, and then I'll do the raglan increases, and then split for sleeves and then do the roundy rounds, which is wonderful TV knitting. This is something that you kind of have to pay a little bit of attention to, just because, you know, ribbing turns into moss stitch if you're not careful. So, and this is Remix Light. Those of you that don't know this, about this, if you're new here, I really like this yarn. I didn't think I would. I have to be honest. I thought there was going to be too much acrylic and nylon in it, but I really like it. It's 30% nylon, which kind of turned me off right at the beginning. But then a shop owner in Cleveland, Ohio, was knitting a sweater out of it. She says, "Come here, I want to show you something." She let me feel it. She goes, "I've made like 10 sweaters out of this stuff. It's reasonable, it's at a great price point." And she said, and there's a lot of yardage in it. It comes out really sport weight because it's thin and thick. So fingering to sport weight is, they call it a 3, so I'll believe them. And sport weight is my favorite weight to knit with. This is, let me go back, 30% nylon, 27% cotton, 24% acrylic. So, you know, we've got 54% unnatural fibers, which I'm not a fan of. That's just me. 10% silk and 9% linen. So I picked up 3 balls in that shop in Cleveland to make one of these, to make my first anchor summer sweater. And I'm now making my 3rd one in this, and I have enough yarn. I have a smoke gray that after this one, I'm sure I'll be starting that one too. You know, something really neutral to wear with khakis and khaki shorts and white shorts and, you know, jeans. Yeah. So, yeah, in Florida, if you've never been, South Florida is very warm all year round, and you can get away with even swimming in February in a pool. It's chilly, but it's still, you know, it's still doable. Northern Florida is southern Georgia, which is, you know, can get an ice storm, can get cold, and did so this year. So we're not sure where we're going to be. We'll probably be in the central Florida area. We want to be around St. Petersburg, Tampa, Bradenton, all of that area on the Gulf side maybe. So, so I'm set for shorts all year round and short sleeve sweaters. So good to go. All right, now acquisitions. I didn't buy any yarn this week, but I went to a thrift store just because I love going to thrift stores. I have found some Coach bags. I have found a lot of things that are worthy of purchasing if you like them. You know, if you don't like them, then you shouldn't purchase them. Got this for $1 this week. I guess Floridians don't feel that they really need wool knitting. That's what I'm thinking. So the Green Mountain Spinnery knit book. This is, I think they have 2 of these, 2 different books out, and this is the first one. And I lived in Vermont for a couple of years. This is where my youngest daughter was born. And this was not, it was about an hour drive from my house. And they started, you know, very small, as most yarn companies do, and grew because the product was so good. So there's, you know, probably nothing in here that I'm going to make. However, you know, we just love We just love pictures. And for $1, if I spill coffee all over it, it's no big deal. Look at these. Beautiful. A girl can dream. Yes. Anyway, so that was my purchase for this week. Now, I remember promising you guys no more cast-on. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, Karen. Yes. A new cast-on. I rationalized this by saying this was my yarn that I won, and I won that from Full Moon Fibers in Canada, in Ontario, and it's hand dyed in Barrie, Ontario. Full Moon Fibers, and this colorway that I won was all the fields. I could pick any color that I wanted, but I wanted something kind of wild. So I started a little scarf. Now this is a pattern. It's very similar to one that I've made before, but it's not. It is, and I'm not going to remember it, Mindful Knitting Shawl. If you watch Ruth Loves to Knit, she's knit 20 of these. And they're just simple shawls that are triangular but asymmetrical. And this has a little picot edge, but just gives it enough. So that was my new cast on. And this is living in the car, so that when we go car knitting, instead of socks, this will be it. So, new cast on. And that's living in my simplysockyarn.com bag that says, I like to party, and by party I mean knit. And I have a little pin up there. I don't know whether you can read that or not, but it says, didn't stab anyone today. Yay! Lordy sakes, that's so true sometimes. Nope, no bugs in my coffee. This is my Black Sheep coffee mug, which I found in North Carolina at an Ollie's. Went back and they didn't have any more. Must be a lot of black sheep, the family, in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. All right. Did I say I wasn't gonna do any more cast on? I'd be so incorrect. This is a souvenir that I bought myself. It's made in America, but this is my souvenir of when I went to London. When I retired, I was going to take myself to Italy. And Luke said, no, don't go to Italy. I want to go to Italy. And I said, well, pick some place that you don't have an interest in. He said, England. Yeah. Whatever. So I said, good. So I purchased this a couple years after, because I went to the Loop and bought one skein of yarn. I had very little luggage space, and at that time I wasn't knitting as much, or as nearly as much as I am now, and thought to buy a sweater's quantity of British wool would be probably a waste of my money. It wouldn't have been now, but anyway. So yeah, some of the sites that I saw in London, I want to go back so bad. All right, this is my new cast on, guys. Remember last year when I was making that rocket t-shirt that I was essentially cussing pretty much every day? Well, I started another. And this is yarn that I bought in the Outer Banks. And it's called Outer Banks. Those of you that are not from the US may not know the Outer Banks, and it's in North Carolina. It's the islands that they're not the shoreline, but they are islands that are, what's wrong? They're islands, okay? Outer Banks, Nag's Head, Kitty Hawk, all of those things. What do you call them? Okay. I know you're yelling at me. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, I went and bought some beautiful yarn at one of the yarn shops. And this is what I bought. So this will be a rocket t-shirt. Last year I fussed with 2 lace weights to make a striped one. This is going to be a solid one. So I'm getting close to, this is on very short needles, which cables, which I'm going to have to get off of soon. But this is the beginning of the yoke. This is the back, and this is the front. It's a very interesting way to make a V-neck tee. Usually V-neck tees, I wouldn't say usually, but typically they seem to go from the bottom up, and this one by Tanis Fiber Arts is from top down. So I have 3 very different colors, and every other row I'm changing, and I don't think that you can see any difference. So yeah, so next week you'll probably see this on some larger needles, so it'll be much easier to see, and hopefully it will be in the roundy round stage, which I like. It's good TV knitting or traveling knitting. And this bag, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, is by Prairie Bag Works. She's got a shop on Etsy, and this is one of my favorite bags, just because of the fun that I had traveling alone in London. It was probably one of the best experiences of my life, and only had one rainy day, go in October. All right, now somebody asked me, what lipstick are you wearing, because it's really pretty. Okay, this is not really a lipstick or a lip stain. This is it's called Cocoa Bean, and it's a colored lip gloss, and I hope this works, but you can see that there's a mirror on it, and it might not come on, but there's a light here, so that when you're applying the lip gloss, there's a light, so that if you're in a dark car, it comes on. It's pretty cool. And I'm not paid by these folks at all, although, Gerard Cosmetics, you're welcome to give me a code. It'd be great. She has tons of different stuff on the website, but Gerard Cosmetics, good stuff. I recommend it. Feels good on your lips. It does come off on your coffee cup, but so I think that we have covered everything today that I wanted to cover. Just wanted to let you know that the last place that we were was at the beach, and it was very windy. It's called Huguenot Memorial Park, and it's a Jacksonville, Florida city park. Jacksonville, Florida has an excellent city park system. I'm amazed. They have a couple places to camp, but they have the water parks that are all free, that you go and, you know, the water comes up, and then, you know, the kids go to the next one, and so that in the middle of the summer, when it's, you know, blue blazes, it's a great place to take kids and, you know, park your chair in the middle of the fountain if you get there early enough. So we were there a total of 5 days, and there wasn't a good day to really record. I wanted to record on Thursday. It was a beautiful day, but it was very windy. I think sustained winds were 18 miles to 25 miles an hour, depending where you were. I guess it's all the weather that's coming across the United States presently. We had one day where it was just gray and ugly, and I'm going to be showing you some of those beautiful pictures because we rode our bikes out on to the beach, which was essentially empty after Sunday. Sunday was a big day. It was the day that we arrived there, and it was there were a lot of partying going on, even though there's a no alcohol rule. You know, those young folk, what are we going to do with them? Anyway, so yeah, so there was a lot of partying going on, and we rode our bikes out to the beach, and part of it sits on the Atlantic Ocean, and part of it is, I'm not sure what the river is, but there's a river. I'm going to call it the Jacksonville River because I don't know. I'm sure there's a different name. But yeah, and we got to watch boats come from the Atlantic, and they were car carriers, and they were absolute huge. I've never seen boats, I guess, that close up, even living in the Baltimore area. It didn't seem like we had boats that were that big, car carriers coming in. So, and right across from where we were camping is a naval base, and we had helicopters pretty much night and day bringing these big car carriers in, and I'm guessing that's Homeland Security. I don't know, because we had the typical tugboats coming in with them. I don't know. Maybe someone knows that's watching this and can tell us what that was. Nobody seemed to know why the helicopters seemed to bring them in. That's Luke's and my theory. We'll see. But I'll give you some footage of that, and some bike rides, and birds, and ocean, Jacksonville River. Yeah, don't know, but I hope you enjoy it. And don't forget to post your comment below if you want to win for my first year podiversary, and put your finished objects on Ravelry, and like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it if you could. Try to get me up to that 67 cents a month. What do you think? That would really help me with postage. Speaking of, I invite you to know that I have a Ko-fi account, coffee account. I don't know how to say it. Nobody does. Ko-fi account, and if you'd like to leave a tip so that I can buy a coffee, really what it goes for is sending yarn and prizes that you guys win. Postage isn't cheap, and yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. So if you feel like donating, I'd appreciate it. That Ko-fi stuff is down below. I'd appreciate it. Anyway, enjoy the beach.